Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first Committee of Adjustment meeting for 2025. Just before we begin, I just want to let everyone know that we're having some power problems here in the Township office. The power's flickered, so if we suddenly lose you, just hang tight and we'll get back online. So, just so you know. So before we begin, I just want to remind everyone that the meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the Township's YouTube channel. The meeting is in hybrid format today. We have people attending both on Zoom and in person. So we'll be holding the meeting. Everyone was in the council chambers. So please raise your hand when the chair calls on you to speak. And sorry, lots of beeping going on. And so we'll now call the roll. So Member Jim Patterson. Member Mark Porter.
Present.
Member Robert Lamar. Yeah. Well, hopefully he'll join back up in a minute. Committee Member Rod Manley.
Present.
And Committee Member Deputy Mayor Nelson.
Present.
Thank you. And so from staff, I'm Martina Hartwig. I am the Secretary Treasurer for the committee. And we also have Township Planner Christina Coulter with us today. Good morning. Just a special note, today will be Christina's last Committee of Adjustment meeting with us before she retires. So congratulations. So with all of committee in attendance, I'm going to call the meeting to order. It is 9:32. So the first order of business that the committee has is to nominate a chair for 2025. Do I have any nominations for chair? Mr. Manley?
I'd like to nominate Jim Patterson to continue as chair.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing none?
I'll second that motion. Do you need a seconder?
I do, that's great. Mr. Patterson, would you be willing to take on the role again?
Well, it's such a burden, but yes.
Wonderful. So Mr. Patterson has accepted the role, and are there any objectors? Seeing none, Mr. Patterson, you are now the chair, and I will turn the meeting over to you.
Okay, thank you, Martina, and thanks for the vote of confidence, folks. So the first item of business, and I haven't got my agenda open, has been taken care of. The second, I think, must be that we accept the minutes of our previous meeting. A motion to accept?
Actually, sorry, Jim. We actually have to do the disclosure of pecuniary interest before we do the minutes.
I'm having trouble hearing you, Martina.
Sorry, Mr. Patterson, we just have to do the disclosure of pecuniary interest.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes. If anyone has any pecuniary interest in the items that we're dealing with today, please show us now. Seeing none, they may proceed. So now I would like a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting. Yep, moved and seconded by Mark, and okay, away we go. And all those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. I'm stumbling over names this morning, sorry about that. I just got out of the car. We drove, had a nice drive from Stony Lake down to Coburg, and I counted all the school buses. All right. Next item would be the issue in front of us, which is a motion to approve a minor adjustment. So Christina, well, you'll take us through that now.
So thank you, Chair, members of the committee, and the public. This is the public meeting for minor variance application, file number A-05-24. The committee has before them Report Planning 2025-02 with the following recommendation. That the committee review and consider all written and verbal comments received regarding minor variance application file A-05-24. That the committee approve minor variance application A-05-24 to reduce the north lot line setback from a private road from 15 meters to 3 meters, and to increase the maximum lot coverage for accessory structures from 5% to 6% for the life of the structure to facilitate the issuance of a building permit for the construction of a new detached accessory garage as shown on the site plan prepared by Timberline Custom Homes dated August 1st, 2024, attached to the decision as Schedule A, and to bring the proposed construction into compliance with the zoning bylaw. This variance is deemed to be minor in nature and is appropriate for the development of this land. The application maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw, and approval is recommended conditional on the following. The first one, obtaining any necessary permits from ORCA, Douro-Dummer Building Department, MTO, and any other required ministry or agency. The second, that verification from an Ontario land surveyor be provided to the Township's chief building official after the structures are framed to confirm that all applicable setback requirements have been met and to ensure compliance with any relief granted by this decision of the committee. And finally, the third, that if any archaeological resources should be discovered during the course of development, all excavation must stop immediately and an archaeologist must be contacted. Potential significance of the findings will be assessed and mitigative options will be identified. The recommendations of the archaeologist must be followed. So just some background for the public on behalf of the owner of the property, Chris Petradis. Their agent, Laura Stone from One Community Planning, has applied for a minor variance on a property located at 3796 Highway 28. I think Laura is in attendance along with possibly Adam Legat from Timberline Custom Homes, and I'm not sure if the owner is in attendance. So the owner does wish to construct a detached garage with a ground floor area of 44.59 square meters on the subject property. The property is zoned residential and is an existing lot of record developed with a single detached dwelling and 2 sheds. The proposed detached garage is proposed to be set back 3.05 meters from Lake Edge Road, which is a private road. The proposed garage does not comply with section 3.1.2D of the zoning bylaw, which requires a 15-meter setback for an accessory structure from any lot line abutting a public or private road. The total lot coverage of the proposed garage and existing accessory structures is 5.91% and does not comply with section 3.13 of the zoning bylaw, which requires that the total lot coverage of all accessory structures must not exceed 5%. For the committee's benefit, staff have adjusted the requested relief to provide for some minor flexibility for the final development. So the purpose of the minor variance is to reduce the north lot line setback from a private road from 15 meters to 3 meters and to increase the maximum lot coverage for accessory structures from 5% to 6% to facilitate the construction of the garage. The application and supporting planning justification report have stated that the total lot coverage of all existing and proposed structures will be 16.27%, 10.36% for the existing dwelling with attached deck, and 5.91% for the existing sheds and proposed garage. The applicant also requested relief from section 4.2.1J of the zoning bylaw, which stipulates that the maximum lot coverage in the residential zone must not exceed 15%. However, since the maximum lot coverage for accessory structures is considered in addition to any other regulations, but relief from the bylaw is not required for the lot coverage requirements for the primary structure and attached deck. A notice of the public meeting was provided on January 13th by email to all prescribed persons and public bodies and to every person and public body that has provided a written request for notice. Notice of the public meeting was circulated by ordinary mail to every owner of land within 60 meters of the subject property on January 13th. Signs were posted on the property on the Highway 28 frontage and on the Lake Edge Road property line. And notice was also posted on the township website. As of the writing of this report, there were no written or verbal comments received from any prescribed persons or public bodies. The report did include comments from ORCA and MTO that were received through the pre-consultation process. However, after the writing of the report, we did receive comments from ORCA as follows. ORCA mapping indicates that the proposed development is not located within a known natural hazard. Therefore, it is the opinion of Autonomy Conservation that the application is consistent with Chapter 5 of the Provincial Planning Statement referencing natural hazards. ORCA has reviewed the application through their mandated responsibility under Ontario Regulation 686/21, and based on the information provided, the proposed development will not create new or is proposing to aggravate existing hazards. ORCA mapping indicates that the lands are not subject to Ontario Regulation 41/24, which is their prohibited activities, exemptions, and permits regulation, and permits from ORCA are not required. The subject property is not located within a vulnerable area that is subject to Trent Source Protection Plan policies. Significant drinking water threats are not possible, and a restricted land use notice is not required. After the writing of this report, MTO also provided comments as follows. The subject land is within the ministry's permit control area as defined by the Public Transportation and Highway Improvement Act. Therefore, ministry approvals and permits are required prior to the construction and or alteration of any buildings and or structures, and prior to the issuance of any municipal building permits or approvals as per section 8.2A of the Building Code Act. The ministry has no concerns with the proposed minor variance. The ministry requests that once the municipality makes a final decision, that the Township of Douro-Dummer provide a copy of the decision letter to the ministry for their records. The ministry advises that any future development of this site by the proponent will require MTO approvals and permits. The ministry recommends that the proponent engage the ministry in the pre-consultation process prior to any future development. A building and land use permit is required for any development within the MTO's jurisdiction prior to construction. The permit application can be submitted online using their Highway Corridor Management online services. The applicant is advised to apply for the application at this time. The ministry will require proof of property ownership to be submitted with the building and land use permit application. This can be a copy of the deed or tax bill showing the legal property owners. MTO can only issue a building and land use permit to the registered property owners or their designate. The ministry reserves the right to modify and expand on these comments should further information be submitted to the MTO for review. I'm going to take a quick drink and keep going on additional comments. As of the writing of this report, there were no written or verbal comments received from members of the public. However, after the writing of the report, written comments were received from the owners of 11 Lake Edge Road and 45 Lake Edge Road. Their comments can be summarized as follows. Clarification on the location, orientation, and dimensions of the proposed garage. Request that no trees be removed from the abutting property at 45 Lake Edge Road. Clarification on the setback of the proposed garage from Highway 28. Clarification on whether the application proposes to move the property line closer to Lake Edge Road. Clarification on whether the application proposes additional or new access onto Lake Edge Road. Clarification on the provision of public notice, in particular whether all residents on Lake Edge Road receive notice. excuse me, and confirmation on who is responsible for approval of the application. Staff responded to the comments and provided copies of the site plan submitted with the application. Excuse me, staff explained the prescribed notice requirements and that the Committee of Adjustment is the approval body for the minor variance application, noting that the committee must consider all written and verbal comments when making their decision. Comments were also received from the owners of 3802 Highway 28, indicating their support of the application. There were no further comments received from members of the public. Senior staff of the township have not identified any concerns with the application. So with that, I will turn it back to the chair for any questions from the committee and the public. Hands muted.
Thank you, Christina. Any comments from the committee or questions? Seeing none.
Oh, there's a
Yeah,
couple
there,
hands
Mark.
raised.
There you go.
Sorry. Yeah. Through you, Chair. Just that was quite the laundry list of concerns from one of the adjacent property owners. As I was listening to it quickly, most of those items, as I sort of went through them, were probably addressed in circulating the. Is there anything, in your opinion, that is outstanding or remains a concern to your knowledge? And just to be clear, those comments are not in the package that we have, so that's the first time I've heard them, right?
That's
That's
correct.
correct, through the chair. So those comments were received via email, and once it was identified that the site plan was made available to the two landowners, they did not identify any additional concerns, and they were satisfied with the response.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Anything further?
Mr. Manley has a comment to make.
If not, a motion.
Mr. Patterson, sorry.
Yes.
Committee member Manley has a comment to make.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask about the situation with they mentioned trees, and I do recall something in the report that the trees may be saved on that one side with regards to the view of the neighbor. Am I on the right track? Is that been addressed?
Thank you, through the chair. The application does not propose to remove any trees off the owner's property. So the trees that are on the adjacent landowner at 45 Lake Edge Road will not be removed. In addition, that view is most impacted by the owners at 3802 Highway 28, and those are the owners who have identified no concerns with the application.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good clarification.
Mr. Patterson, we do have, I believe, the agent and the builder on the line. I'm not sure if they have comments to make.
So anyone on online? Timberline? Yep.
Hi,
Hey,
Right, there you go.
sorry, no, I was more here to observe. Laura's got it all covered, and the comments have all been sort of satisfied. So I was just sort of watching on.
Okay.
and if I may, Chair, I would just like to say good morning to you and to the committee. Thank you very much, Christina, for the supportive staff report. As you noted, the application meets the 4 tests of the minor variance, and it meets the intent of all of the policies from the county and from the province. This is representative of good planning, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And one final thing I would just like to say, congratulations to Christina on your retirement.
Okay, thank you for that. Any further comments or questions? lengthy report and seems to have addressed the issues that the neighbors may have. May I now ask for a motion to approve the recommendation? And perhaps Harold could make that motion, just so I make sure that I know that I've noted that the Harold's in the meeting.
Thanks, Jim.
I would second that motion.
And Rob Lamar. So that's moved and seconded. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Unanimous. Thank you. The next item, prior to saying we're going to have another meeting, would be, of course, for the committee to move applause and congratulations to Christina. We're going to miss you. You've done a noble job over the years, and you know the ropes, and you've helped us through some rocky territory. So congratulations to you, and we'll miss you and wish you all the best. And that too.
It's been a pleasure working with all of you. I've really enjoyed this experience.
Okay. We're going to have to find a way to get the mics a little closer to the panelists inside the chamber.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we're actually going through budget right now. And one of the items in the budget is a new AV system for the council chambers. So fingers crossed that gets approved, and this will be sorted out shortly.
Okay, because it's sort of an echo chamber. All right, the next meeting will be at the call of Martina when she has an item to bring before us. If there's nothing further, motion to adjourn. Rod and Mark. And I don't think motions to adjourn are debatable or need approval. They're just moved. So we're out of here. All those in
Thanks,
favor.
everyone.
Have a good day.
Take care, everyone.
Thanks, guys.